June 13, 1944. The morning mist clings to hedgerows near Villers-Bocage, France, a medieval market town that will become a graveyard for British armor before noon. SS-Hauptsturmführer Michael Wittmann, commanding a Tiger-Warner heavy tank, spots a stationary British column stretched along a narrow road. He does not wait for support. He attacks alone. Within 15 minutes, his Tiger has destroyed 12 Cromwell tanks, 14 half-tracks, and 2 anti-tank guns. The column burns. Bodies litter the roadside. Wittmann's radio crackles with congratulations from regimental headquarters. 1 Tiger, 1 commander, 30 vehicles destroyed. This engagement becomes legend immediately. German propaganda amplifies it. Wehrmacht training films study it. SS recruitment posters feature it. The narrative is seductive and seemingly factual. The Tiger tank represents German engineering supremacy, proof that superior technology wielded by superior soldiers can overcome numerical disadvantage. 1 Tiger equals 5 Shermans, maybe 10, maybe 50. The mathematics of invincibility. 300 kilometers east in a logistics depot outside Chartres, American tankers from the 2nd Armored Division receive their M4 Sherman tanks fresh from transport ships. Staff Sergeant Robert Mitchell examines his assigned vehicle. An M4A1 with the standard 75mm gun, serial number 39847, manufactured by Lima Locomotive Works in Ohio 6 weeks earlier. The tank smells of cosmoline and fresh paint. Mitchell's crew comprises 5 men: commander, gunner, loader, driver, assistant driver. Average age 23. Combined tank experience 8 months training at Fort Knox, 0 combat. Mitchell knows the statistics because everyone knows the statistics. The Sherman weighs 30 tons. The Tiger weighs 57 tons. The Sherman's 75mm gun can penetrate perhaps 90 millimeters of armor at 500 meters. The Tiger's frontal armor measures 100 millimeters. The Tiger's 88mm gun can penetrate the Sherman's frontal armor at 2,000 meters. These numbers suggest the Sherman is mechanically inferior, tactically disadvantaged, essentially a death trap on tracks. But Mitchell also knows other numbers, though these are less frequently discussed. The United States has manufactured 49,324 Sherman tanks between 1942 and 1945. Germany has manufactured 1,347 Tiger 1 tanks. This 17-to-1 production ratio means that even if every Tiger destroyed 5 Shermans, the mythical ratio repeated in training, in newspapers, in letters home, Germany would run out of Tigers long before America ran out of Shermans. The mathematics are brutal and clarifying. Quantity is quality when quantity suffices. Oberst Friedrich Müller, intelligence officer for Panzer Lehr Division, writes his weekly assessment report in a command post 20 kilometers south of Caen. He has spent 4 days interviewing tank crews returning from engagements with American and British forces. The interviews are depressing. Not because German crews report defeats Panzer Lehr still maintains operational effectiveness, but because the reports describe something Müller did not anticipate. The Americans are learning. Early Sherman encounters in North Africa and Italy followed predictable patterns. Sherman tanks attacked German positions frontally, relied on their 75mm guns against targets those guns could not reliably penetrate, and died in numbers that seemed to validate German technological superiority. American tank crews fought bravely but naively, treating armored combat as mounted cavalry charges where courage substituted for capability. But by June 1944, American tactics have evolved. Müller's interrogation transcripts describe Sherman platoons operating in coordinated groups, using terrain for concealment, advancing under artillery cover, targeting German tanks from multiple angles simultaneously. The Americans no longer seek fair fights. They seek overwhelming local superiority. 5 Shermans converging on 1 Panther from different directions, denying the German crew time to engage all threats, forcing the heavier tank into impossible tactical calculus. 1 Panther commander describes an engagement near St. Lo. His tank, hull down behind earthworks with excellent fields of fire, engaged 4 approaching Shermans at 1,200 meters. He destroyed 2 immediately. The remaining Shermans did not retreat. They dispersed using hedgerows for cover, maneuvering to his flanks while American infantry advanced with bazookas. Within minutes, his advantageous position became untenable. He withdrew not because his tank was damaged, but because remaining meant encirclement by forces he could not engage simultaneously. The Americans did not defeat his Panther through superior technology. They defeated it through superior coordination. Another report troubles Müller more deeply. A Tiger commander from Schweer SS Panzerabteilung 101 describes encountering what he initially believed was a standard Sherman platoon. His Tiger engaged from 1,500 meters, confident in its invulnerability. The return fire was devastating. One shot penetrated his Tiger's frontal armor, something no 75mm Sherman gun should accomplish. The round killed his gunner and damaged the turret traverse mechanism. The Tiger withdrew, badly damaged, its reputation for invincibility shattered by a weapon the commander could not identify. Müller suspects what the Tiger commander encountered: a Sherman Firefly, the British modification that mounts a 17-pounder gun in a Sherman chassis. The 17-pounder can penetrate Tiger frontal armor at ranges exceeding 1,000 meters. The British deliberately camouflage Fireflies to resemble standard Shermans, knowing German crews prioritize Fireflies as high-value targets. This deception means German tankers cannot distinguish deadly threats from manageable ones until someone dies. The Firefly represents exactly what Müller fears: Allied technological adaptation at pace Germany cannot match. The British identified a problem: Sherman guns insufficient against heavy German armor, and solved it within months by installing more powerful guns. Germany identified similar problems: Tiger mechanical unreliability, Panther transmission failures, and solved them through gradual improvements that came too slowly to matter strategically. Müller's report concludes with assessment his superiors will not appreciate. American Sherman tactics have evolved faster than German defensive doctrine. Their coordination of armor, infantry, artillery, and air support exceeds our capacity to counter with tactical responses. Individual German tank superiority no longer compensates for American systemic advantages. We are fighting an enemy that learns faster than we adapt. The report is filed. Nothing changes. July 1944. The 3rd Armored Division engages Panzer Lehr near Caen in a series of running battles that will be analyzed by military historians for decades. On July 18th, during Operation Goodwood, Sherman tanks from the division's 32nd Armored Regiment encounter German defensive positions anchored by Panther tanks and dug-in anti-tank guns. The initial American assault follows doctrine: advance under artillery preparation, infantry supporting armor, objectives clearly defined. The engagement becomes catastrophic. German anti-tank guns positioned on slight elevations command open fields. The Shermans advance across that killing ground because orders demand it. Within 30 minutes, 23 Shermans are burning. German gunners methodically destroy each tank as it crests the ridgeline, silhouetted against sky, presenting perfect targets. The surviving Shermans withdraw. The operation is suspended. Casualty reports are compiled. Someone will be blamed, but 3 days later the same regiment attacks the same position. The approach is different. American artillery pounds German positions for 2 hours, not the usual 30-minute preparation. Infantry advances first, identifying anti-tank gun positions, marking them with colored smoke. Tank destroyers with 76mm guns engage German armor from hull-down positions, providing covering fire. Only then do Shermans advance, moving in bounds between cover, never silhouetting against skylines, coordinating through radio communication that German forces cannot jam or intercept effectively. The second assault succeeds. The Germans withdraw not because American tanks individually outfight German tanks, but because American combined arms coordination overwhelms German defensive positions through systematic application of multiple supporting fires. The Shermans do not win tank versus tank duels. They win combined arms battles where tank versus tank duels become tactically irrelevant. Captain James Peterson, commanding a Sherman company in the 2nd Armored Division, writes to his brother in August 1944. The letter will be censored, certain details removed, but Peterson's essential message survives. The Germans have better tanks. This is true. The Tiger is a monster. The Panther is deadly, but they have so few. We have so many. And our tanks work. Theirs break down constantly. We saw 5 Panthers last week. Only 2 were operational. The other 3 sat immobile, abandoned for lack of spare parts or fuel or mechanics who could fix them. We bypassed them. They were irrelevant. Peterson's observation reflects statistical reality that German propaganda cannot acknowledge. Tiger tanks achieve impressive kill ratios, approximately 5.74 kills per loss across all Tiger battalions, but operational availability rarely exceeds 60%. For every Tiger engaging Allied forces, another sits in depot awaiting repairs or spare parts that never arrive. The Tiger's complex interleaved road wheels freeze in winter. Its transmission requires expert maintenance after every 100 kilometers. Its weight, 57 tons, exceeds most bridges' load capacity, forcing Tigers to ford rivers or wait for engineer support that is increasingly unavailable as the war progresses. The Sherman, by contrast, maintains operational availability exceeding 85%. Its powertrain is adapted from commercial truck engines, meaning replacement parts are standardized and abundant. Its suspension uses vertical volute, springs simpler, more reliable, easier to repair than German torsion bars. A Sherman damaged in combat can often be recovered, repaired, and returned to service within days. A Tiger damaged in combat is frequently abandoned because recovery vehicles capable of towing 57 tons do not exist in sufficient numbers. This reliability differential means that numerical superiority compounds over time. If Germany fields 100 Tigers, and America fields 1,000 Shermans, simple 10-to-1 arithmetic suggests equilibrium if Tigers maintain their kill ratios. But if only 60 Tigers are operationally available while 850 Shermans remain operational, the effective ratio becomes 14-to-1. The Germans must achieve kill ratios exceeding their production ratios merely to maintain parity. This is mathematically impossible. September 1944. The United States Army Ordnance Department's Ballistic Research Laboratory begins comprehensive analysis of armor engagements in the European theater. The study examines data from the 3rd and 4th Armored Divisions during summer 1944 operations, tracking 30 tank versus tank engagements between Shermans and German Panthers. The methodology is rigorous, confirmed kills only, excluding probables or damaged vehicles, accounting for tactical circumstances including engagement range, terrain, and supporting elements. The results contradict conventional wisdom. Shermans achieve a 3.6-to-1 kill ratio against Panthers. This is not a typo. American medium tanks, supposedly outclassed by German medium tanks, destroy 3.6 Panthers for every Sherman lost in tank versus tank combat. The 5 Shermans to kill 1 Panther narrative is inverted. It takes roughly 3 Panthers to kill 1 Sherman when actual combat data rather than theoretical penetration tables determine outcomes. The study's authors identify multiple factors explaining this counterintuitive result. First, tactical initiative matters more than technical specifications. Allied forces in summer 1944 operate offensively, while German forces operate defensively. Defenders possess inherent advantages: prepared positions, cover, ambush opportunities, but attackers possess operational flexibility. Shermans choose when and where to engage. Panthers respond to American initiatives rather than executing their own operations. This asymmetry means Shermans can concentrate forces against isolated Panthers while avoiding engagements where Panthers possess numerical or positional advantage. Second, American crews benefit from superior training. By mid-1944, early war Sherman crews received 8 to 12 weeks instruction at Fort Knox before deployment. By late 1944, training extends to 20 weeks, incorporates combat lessons from North Africa and Italy, emphasizes small unit tactics and combined arms coordination. German tank crew training, by contrast, has deteriorated dramatically. Veteran crews who survived Eastern Front fighting are irreplaceable. Replacement crews receive abbreviated training, sometimes as little as 4 weeks before deployment. Experience gaps compound technical advantages or disadvantages. Third, American logistic superiority means Sherman crews fight from positions of material abundance while German crews fight from positions of perpetual scarcity. American tankers receive regular resupply of ammunition, fuel, and spare parts. They rotate to rear areas for maintenance. They eat adequately. They sleep in relative safety. German tankers operate on extended supply lines that Allied aircraft interdict continuously. They conserve ammunition because resupply is uncertain. They abandon damaged tanks because recovery is impossible. They fight exhausted because rest areas do not exist. Fourth, and perhaps most significantly, the study documents that most tank casualties result not from enemy tanks but from anti-tank guns, infantry anti-tank weapons, artillery, and air attack. Only approximately 20% of Sherman losses occur in tank versus tank engagements. The remaining 80% result from combined arms effects. This means that debates about Sherman versus Tiger technical comparisons miss the fundamental nature of armored warfare. Tanks do not fight tanks in isolation. Tanks fight within combined arms systems where artillery suppresses anti-tank guns, infantry clears defensive positions, air support destroys supply columns, and logistics sustains continuous operations. The Sherman is not designed to defeat Tigers in single combat any more than a rifle is designed to defeat artillery. The Sherman is designed to exploit breakthroughs, support infantry, destroy fortified positions, and advance rapidly while remaining operationally available. By these metrics, the Sherman succeeds brilliantly. The Tiger is designed to anchor defensive positions and destroy attacking armor at extreme range. By these metrics, the Tiger succeeds when operationally available, which is approximately 60% of the time. October 1944. SS-Hauptsturmführer Otto Carius, one of Germany's most successful tank commanders with over 150 tank kills credited, writes candidly in his combat diary about lessons learned from 6 months fighting Allied armor in France and Belgium. Carius is not prone to defeatism. His Tiger crew has destroyed more Allied tanks than most German companies. But his observations are sobering. The Americans have learned to fight, he writes. They no longer attack stupidly. They use terrain. They coordinate infantry and armor. Most significantly, they accept losses we cannot replace while maintaining operational tempo we cannot match. Yesterday, we destroyed 4 Shermans. Today, 12 more attacked the same position. We destroyed 3. Tomorrow there will be 20. This is not tactical defeat. This is industrial defeat manifested through tactics we cannot counter. Carius describes an engagement near Aachen, where his Tiger company, 3 operational Tigers from an authorized strength of 14, engaged an American armored column. The initial attack succeeded perfectly. German 88mm guns destroyed 6 Shermans at ranges exceeding 1,500 meters. Distances where Sherman return fire was ineffective. The American column should have retreated. Doctrine suggested it. Previous experience confirmed it. Instead, the American commander called artillery. Within minutes, 105mm shells blanketed German positions. The Americans called air support. P-47 Thunderbolts appeared within 20 minutes, rocketing suspected Tiger locations. The Shermans, rather than withdrawing, dispersed into covered positions and waited. The Germans could not advance because American artillery made movement suicidal. They could not remain because American infantry was flanking their positions. They withdrew, having destroyed 6 Shermans but lost 1 Tiger to aircraft rockets and abandoned a 2nd Tiger with transmission failure. We won the tactical engagement, Carius writes. We killed more of them, but they continue advancing. We continue retreating. Victory is meaningless if strategic position deteriorates. The Americans understand this. We do not. November 1944. American tank production reaches industrial crescendo. General Motors, Chrysler, Ford, and 7 other manufacturers produce Sherman variants at combined rate exceeding 2,000 tanks monthly. This production tempo is not emergency response to crisis. It is normal operating capacity of industrial system that has solved mass production challenges through standardization, interchangeable parts, and systematic quality control. Each Sherman, rolling off assembly lines in Detroit, Cleveland, or Lima, is mechanically identical to specifications within tolerances measured in millimeters. A transmission built in Michigan fits any Sherman chassis built in Ohio. A turret manufactured in Illinois mounts on any hull regardless of producer. An M4A3 manufactured by Ford is parts compatible with an M4A3 manufactured by Fisher Body Division. This interchangeability means that battle-damaged Shermans can be repaired using parts salvaged from other damaged Shermans, creating logistical efficiency Germany cannot replicate. German tank production operates differently. Each factory incorporates local design modifications. A Panther built by MAN differs subtly from a Panther built by Daimler-Benz. Parts are not entirely interchangeable. Tolerances are tighter, requiring skilled fitting during assembly and maintenance. This approach produces superior individual tanks, but inferior production systems. Germany can build excellent tanks slowly. America can build adequate tanks quickly. In total war, adequate quantity defeats excellent scarcity. By November 1944, more Shermans have been destroyed in combat than total German tank production since 1939. Yet Sherman's strength in European theater continues increasing. This paradox, simultaneous losses and growth, demonstrates industrial capacity that transcends tactical outcomes. American tank losses are manufacturing problems solved by increasing production. German tank losses are strategic problems without solution. December 16, 1944. Germany launches the Ardennes offensive, the final major German counterattack in the West. The operation commits approximately 400,000 troops supported by the largest German armored concentration since 1941, over 400 tanks and assault guns, including approximately 140 Panthers and 50 Tigers. German planning assumes that surprise, winter weather negating Allied air superiority, and overwhelming local force concentration can replicate 1940 success. Break through weak defenses, capture Allied supply depots, drive to Antwerp, split Allied armies, force negotiated peace. The offensive initially succeeds. German forces break through American lines, advance westward, capture significant territory. At Bastogne, American forces are surrounded. At Malmedy, SS troops massacre American prisoners. The situation appears critical. Then weather clears. Allied aircraft appear in numbers that darken skies. And American armor responds not with panic but with methodical competence learned through 2 years of combat. Sherman tanks from 3rd Army execute 90-degree pivot from eastward, advance to northward counterattack in 48 hours. This maneuver, reorienting an entire army across 90 miles in winter conditions while maintaining supply and operational cohesion, represents logistical achievement Germany cannot equal. Patton's 3rd Army, spearheaded by Sherman tanks, advances toward Bastogne, not cautiously, not gradually, with operational tempo that German intelligence considered impossible for forces operating at extended supply distances in winter. The Germans discover that destroying American tanks no longer yields tactical advantage. SS-Hauptsturmführer Joachim Peiper's battle group destroys dozens of Shermans during the northern penetration. Wittmann's old unit, Schwer SS Panzerabteilung 501, achieves favorable kill ratios throughout the offensive. But destroyed Shermans are replaced within days. Destroyed Tigers and Panthers are irreplaceable. American tank strength grows during the battle despite combat losses. German tank strength deteriorates continuously. By December 26th, American forces relieve Bastogne. By January 25, 1945, the Ardennes offensive has collapsed completely. German casualties exceed 100,000. Approximately 800 German tanks are destroyed or abandoned. The Wehrmacht has exhausted its strategic reserve, achieving nothing except postponing the inevitable. Post-battle analysis identifies the Sherman's decisive role not through technical superiority but through operational availability. American armored divisions maintained combat effectiveness throughout the offensive, despite casualties because replacement tanks arrived continuously. Damaged Shermans were recovered and repaired. Destroyed Shermans were replaced from seemingly infinite stockpiles. The 2nd and 3rd Armored Divisions fought continuously for 6 weeks without significant reduction in tank strength. German armored formations, by contrast, began the offensive at reduced strength and declined continuously. Tigers broke down at predictable rates, approximately 30% operational failures per day of continuous movement. Panthers suffered transmission failures that left them immobilized and vulnerable. Supply shortages meant that undamaged German tanks were abandoned for lack of fuel. By mid-January, German armored strength had collapsed not primarily through combat attrition but through mechanical exhaustion and logistical failure. The offer Ardennes offensive demonstrates that the 5 Shermans to 1 Tiger ratio, even if accurate in individual engagements, is strategically meaningless when American industry produces 50 Shermans for every Tiger Germany fields. Mathematics overwhelms mythology. February 1945. Staff Sergeant Mitchell, who received his Sherman in Chartres 8 months earlier, is now a battle-scarred veteran commanding his 3rd tank. His first Sherman was destroyed near St. Lo by a Panther at 900 meters. The range charts predicted vulnerability. Mitchell and his crew escaped with minor injuries. His second Sherman was disabled by a Panzerfaust in Bastogne. Again, the crew survived. Now he commands an M4A3E8 Easy 8, the improved late-war Sherman with wider tracks, better suspension, and the high-velocity 76mm gun. Mitchell's crew has engaged German armor 7 times. They have never fought a Tiger. They have engaged Panthers twice, Panzer IVs 3 times, and various assault guns on 2 occasions. They destroyed 3 German tanks confirmed, probably destroyed 2 others, and were forced to withdraw once when facing 3 Panthers without infantry support. By any reasonable assessment, Mitchell's crew is successful. They are alive. Their tank functions. They continue advancing. Mitchell reflects on the 5-to-1 myth in a letter home. We are told constantly that German tanks are superior. This is true in the same way a luxury automobile is superior to a truck. But we are not here to race. We are here to deliver cargo. And the cargo is explosives delivered to German positions. A truck that delivers its cargo is superior to a luxury car in the repair shop. The Sherman delivers. The Tiger is impressive. But impressed enemies are not defeated enemies. Destroyed enemies are defeated enemies. We destroy them. This philosophical clarity, emerging from practical combat experience, captures Sherman effectiveness more accurately than technical specifications. The Sherman is not designed to be impressive. It is designed to be effective within combined arms doctrine that emphasizes coordination over individual capability. A Sherman supported by infantry, artillery, air support, and logistics is vastly more dangerous than a Tiger operating in isolation, without fuel, ammunition, or maintenance support. March 1945. Germany's industrial capacity collapses under sustained Allied bombing and Soviet advances. Tank production in March 1945 is approximately 40% of March 1944 levels. Worse, tanks produced cannot reach frontline units. Rail networks are destroyed. Fuel is unavailable. Replacement parts do not exist. Factories nominally producing tanks are assembling vehicles that will never be delivered, operated, or maintained. The Tiger II, the King Tiger, represents German engineering taken to absurd extreme. At 68 tons, it is the heaviest tank to see combat in World War II. Its armor is virtually impenetrable from most angles. Its 88mm L-71 gun can destroy any Allied tank at ranges exceeding 2 kilometers. It is a masterpiece of armored vehicle design. Germany produces 492 Tiger IIs. Most break down before reaching combat. Operational availability never exceeds 40%. The Tiger II weighs so much that few bridges can support it, few recovery vehicles can tow it, and its fuel consumption, approximately 1 kilometer per 2 liters, makes sustained operations impossible given German fuel shortages. The Tiger II is simultaneously the best tank of World War II and strategically irrelevant. Excellence without adequate numbers is curiosity, not capability. April 1945. The war in Europe enters its final phase. American and Soviet forces converge on Berlin from opposite directions. German resistance continues, fierce in places, non-existent in others, but the outcome is determined. In these final weeks, Sherman tanks encounter German armor in increasingly absurd circumstances. Tigers abandoned for lack of fuel, Panthers immobilized by mechanical failure. King Tigers parked as static pillboxes because moving them is impossible. American tank crews no longer fear German armor. They respect it, certainly. A Tiger that is operational and properly crewed remains deadly. But operational Tigers are rare enough that encountering one is noteworthy rather than expected. German tank strength has collapsed not primarily through combat destruction, but through industrial failure, logistical breakdown, and mechanical exhaustion. The Wehrmacht is not defeated by superior Allied tanks. It is defeated by superior Allied industrial systems that produce adequate tanks in overwhelming numbers while maintaining them operationally. May 8, 1945. Germany surrenders unconditionally. The war in Europe ends. Casualty statistics are compiled, analyzed, debated. American tank losses in European theater total approximately 7,000 Shermans destroyed or damaged beyond repair. German tank losses total approximately 35,000 tanks and assault guns of all types. The asymmetry reflects not merely different production capacities but fundamentally different approaches to mechanized warfare. Germany designed tanks as precision instruments, requiring expert operators fighting in favorable tactical circumstances. The Tiger achieves its legendary kill ratios when crewed by veteran commanders, positioned defensively with good fields of fire, supported by adequate logistics, and operating mechanically. Remove any of these conditions and Tiger effectiveness collapses. America designed tanks as mass-produced tools within combined arms systems, emphasizing coordination over individual excellence. The Sherman achieves effectiveness not through technical superiority, but through operational availability, numerical abundance, logistical sustainability, and tactical integration with supporting arms. A Sherman is rarely the most dangerous weapon on a battlefield, but the combined arms team containing the Sherman, infantry, artillery, air support, logistics, is almost always the most dangerous system. Post-war analysis by both American and German military historians identifies the Sherman as decisively more effective than heavier German tanks when effectiveness is measured strategically rather than tactically. Field Marshal von Rundstedt, interviewed after capture, states, "The Sherman was not an impressive tank, but it was everywhere, always operational and supported by systems we could not match. German tanks were individually superior. American tank systems were systematically superior. In modern warfare, systems defeat individuals." General Heinz Guderian writes in his memoirs, "We became obsessed with technical perfection while Americans focused on practical sufficiency. Our tanks were better. Their tank production was better. In total war, the side with better production wins, regardless of whose individual tanks perform. Better in individual engagements, the 5 Shermans to 1 Tiger myth persists in popular imagination because it confirms satisfying narratives about quality versus quantity, craftsmanship versus mass production, excellence versus adequacy. The myth is psychologically attractive because it suggests that individual superiority matters more than systematic capability. But the combat record tells different truth. Shermans achieved favorable kill ratios against German medium tanks. Shermans maintained operational availability vastly exceeding German heavy tanks. Shermans were produced in numbers that made individual losses tactically manageable and strategically irrelevant. Shermans won not because they were better tanks, but because they were better integrated into combined arms systems supported by industrial production that Germany could not match. The Germans thought the Sherman was a death trap, and by narrow technical comparison to the Tiger, it was inferior in armor, firepower, and protection. But tanks do not fight as isolated platforms. They fight as elements of larger systems, and in that context, the Sherman proved devastatingly effective not despite its limitations, but because its design philosophy prioritized characteristics that mattered strategically: reliability, producibility, sustainability, and integration with combined arms. The revelation came slowly to German commanders, who initially dismissed American armor as inferior. They learned painfully and progressively that 5 Shermans could indeed defeat 1 Tiger, not through individual duels but through coordinated tactics that made individual technical superiority irrelevant. They learned that replacing a destroyed Tiger required months, while replacing a destroyed Sherman required days. They learned that the best tank is the one that remains operational, crewed, fueled, and supported by systems that enable continuous operations. This lesson cost Germany everything. The Tiger represented German conviction that excellence matters most. The Sherman represented American understanding that adequacy multiplied by abundance equals dominance. Both nations committed fully to their philosophies. One philosophy proved correct under conditions of total industrial warfare. The other philosophy, however seductive in its appeal to mastery and superiority, proved strategically bankrupt. So the Sherman, maligned, underestimated, dismissed as inferior, rolled across Europe in such numbers that German resistance collapsed not from overwhelming force in individual encounters but from overwhelming systemic superiority applied continuously without respite. The death trap killed its enemies not through individual excellence, but through collective persistence. In the end, that proved sufficient. More than sufficient, decisive.